You know, in today's world, meeting someone online is just normal. It's how a lot of people connect. You swipe, you match, you chat. It's supposed to be convenient, maybe even fun. But the problem with a digital profile is that you never really know who's on the other side of the screen. You're just seeing the version of them they want you to see. And sometimes, that version is a carefully constructed trap. This story is about a woman named Chloe. It's a bit darker, so brace yourselves. Chloe was in her mid-20s, living in a studio apartment in Austin, Texas. Life was good. Her career was on track. She had a solid group of friends, but her love life was stagnant. So, like millions of us, she downloaded Tinder. She'd been on a few decent dates, a few bad ones, the usual cycle. Then, she matched with a guy named Leo. His profile was perfect, almost unnervingly so. He was handsome in a clean-cut, approachable way. His bio was witty, but not trying too hard. And his photos showed him hiking, traveling, and laughing with friends. He seemed genuine. They hit it off immediately. The texting was easy, fluid. He was charming, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in her. After a week of constant talking, he asked her out. He suggested a nice, public wine bar downtown. Safety first, right? The date was, by all accounts, wonderful. Leo was even more charismatic in person. He was a great listener, made her laugh, and the conversation never hit a lull. He told her he was an architect, which explained his sharp style and his stories about interesting buildings. He was, in a word, disarming. Everything felt so normal, so right. When he walked her to her car and asked if he could see her again, she didn't hesitate to say yes. That was the first date. The second date was a week later, a dinner at a trendy new restaurant. It was even better. He was opening up more, sharing stories from his childhood. He seemed perfect. But there was one small thing. Chloe was a bit of a tech nerd, and she noticed his phone. It was an older model, which was fine, but the screen was always meticulously clean, with no smudges, and he always placed it face down on the table with a quiet, deliberate finality. It was a small, almost invisible quirk. She didn't think much of it at the time. For their third date, he offered to cook for her at his place. Now, Chloe was smart. She'd read all the articles. She sent his address and a photo of his driver's license, which he'd readily provided, to her best friend. She had a check-in time set. She felt safe. His house was exactly what you'd expect from an architect: modern, minimalist, and impeccably clean. Everything was shades of gray and white. It was almost sterile. Dinner was lovely. The conversation flowed. But after dinner, as he was giving her a tour, things started to feel off. The house was too neat. There were no personal photos, no messy stacks of mail, no lived-in clutter. It felt like a showroom, not a home. As they passed a hallway leading to the bedrooms, she noticed one door at the very end was closed, with a heavy-looking, modern keypad lock on it. Unlike the sleek aesthetic of the rest of the house, this door was thick, painted a dull, matte black. "What's in there?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "The forbidden room?" she joked. Leo's smile tightened at the edges. "Oh, that's just my project room. A mess of blueprints and models. Trust me, it's not interesting." He quickly steered her back towards the living room, but the shift in his demeanor was subtle, noticeable. A tiny crack in the perfect facade. A few minutes later, Chloe's phone buzzed. It was her friend, checking in. She texted back, "All good." But that little interaction, That tiny link to the outside world made her realize how isolated she was. The sterile silence of the house was suddenly oppressive. She decided to call it a night, making up an excuse about an early morning meeting. Leo was understanding, but as he walked her to the door, he gave her a hug that lasted a beat too long. "I can't wait to see you again, Chloe," he whispered, and his voice had a possessive edge that hadn't been there before. It made her skin crawl. She drove home, a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. She tried to shake it off, blaming her own paranoia. But later that night, as she was getting ready for bed, she realized she'd left her favorite silver bracelet on his bathroom counter. She cursed. It was a gift from her grandmother. She texted him, and he replied instantly. "No problem. I found it. I have to head into the office early tomorrow, but I'll leave it under the mat by the back door. The code is 0913. Just let yourself in and grab it anytime after 8 a.m. It seemed like a reasonable solution. A bit trusting, but he was being helpful. The next morning, feeling silly for her nerves the night before, she drove to his house. It was a quiet Tuesday morning. The neighborhood was deserted. She let herself in through the back gate, her shoes crunching on the perfectly groomed gravel. The keypad on the back door beeped as she entered the code. The house was silent. She found the bracelet right where he said it would be. She was about to leave when she stopped. She looked down the hallway. The black door was there, looming. And the keypad. It was the same model as the one on the back door. A crazy, reckless idea formed in her mind. The code for the back door was his birthday. He'd told her that on their first date. What if? Her heart was a drum in her ears as she walked down the hall. The air felt colder. She stood in front of the black door, her hand trembling. This was a massive violation of privacy. This was insane. But the memory of his too tight hug, the possessive whisper, the sterile emptiness of the house, it all pushed her. She typed in the code, 0-9-1-3. There was a soft, electronic click. She pushed the door open. The room wasn't dark. A single cold LED light bar flickered on overhead. And what she saw made her legs give way. She had to clutch the doorframe to stay upright. This wasn't a project room. It was a gallery, a shrine. The walls were covered, floor to ceiling, not with blueprints, but with photographs. Hundreds of them. Candid shots of women. Women grocery shopping, pumping gas, laughing with friends in parks, getting into their cars. And in the center of each wall, arranged like prized artworks, were larger, framed photos. Photos of the women sleeping in their beds. Her eyes darted across the faces. She recognized a woman from her own yoga class, another from her favorite coffee shop. And then she saw it. On the far wall, a space was cleared, waiting. And in the center of that empty space was a single, new, 8x10 photo. It was a photo of her, taken from outside her apartment window, taken just 2 nights ago. She was in her pajamas, reading on her couch. She was the next artifact for his collection. A strangled gasp escaped her throat. She stumbled back, slamming the door shut. She ran through the house, out the back door, not caring about the noise. She didn't stop running until she was in her car, locking the doors and hyperventilating. She drove straight to the police. They took her statement seriously, especially when she gave him Leo's name and address. They went to the house, but when they arrived, the place was empty, sterile and clean, just as it had been, but now it was completely vacant. Leo was gone. The black room was just an empty room, freshly painted white. They found nothing. No evidence. It was as if he had never existed. They told Chloe he was probably using a fake identity, a burner phone, the whole 9 yards. She moved apartments, changed her number, deleted all her social media. She did everything right. But she told me that the worst part, the thing that haunts her every single day, isn't the fear that he'll come for her. It's the knowledge that he's still out there. His collection is growing, and he's just waiting to find the perfect new piece to add to his walls.